The standards for a new Super Mario game are so ridiculously high that Nintendo has to reinvent the wheel with every new release or be branded as lazy if they don't release a new masterpiece every 5 years. On the other hand, the standards for a new Super Mario movie are all the way down here, on a good day, when we forget that there was a live-action version of this franchise. If your artistic medium outlet of choice wasn't a book or a comic, good luck getting your shit to be adapted into a worthwhile product. However, Hollywood has realized two things since the original Super Mario movie. 1. It turns out it's actually very easy to adapt video games that are trying super hard to be exactly like movies. Film has influenced video games so much that they have now successfully contorted themselves into the correct shape to be adapted. And 2. The best medium to retell most video games isn't live action, it's animation. Yeah, who would have thought the best way to recreate an interactive cartoon is with another cartoon? If we're talking about artistic mediums that don't get enough respect that they deserve, film and television would be at the top, and video games would be somewhere near the bottom, with animated movies just slightly above, where one is seen as the motivation for the US's declining child population, and the other is seen as a genre created solely to distract children and man-children alike. These older adaptations sucked for a bunch of reasons. Mainly, the people in charge of them viewed them as cash grabs in their careers, gave no second thought of how to probably adapt one medium to another, and shot it out as quickly as possible just to move on to the next project. There's no attempt at incorporating elements that made the games beloved in the first place beyond an easy insertion of fan service. These movies could be called anything, and it wouldn't change the overall project. As much as I want to say that this is a thing of the past, a lot of adaptations still fall into this category. Uncharted, Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and the Fairly Odd Parents reboot also have these issues. That all said, where do I stand with the Super Mario Bros. Movie? Meh. I had zero expectations for this thing. Made by Illumination, a company that's released one good film, ever, and then revealing one of the worst voice acting lineups for any animated film. At best, I thought, if it's at least fine, that should be good enough for public audiences to rave over it. And at worst, it would just be another forgotten Illumination film. And after the biggest rebound in movie history, winning mostly everyone over with its trailers, I can happily see the movie is watchable. And it's not great, it's not bad, it's just one of the movies that exist. My biggest fear going into this was that the entire movie was going to be loaded with Easter eggs, and that would be its main selling point. It being less of a movie and more of an animated Where's Waldo with references, aimed at people who think the more hidden details you shove in the frame, the better movie it is. And it was mostly that. The film feels like an excuse to show you as much of the Mushroom Kingdom as possible, essentially speedrunning every scene to get to the next, to show you how crazy and wacky this world is, with characters being introduced to one another, but never enough time for their relationships to be developed. The pacing was at a breakneck pace. As soon as the plot entered the Mushroom Kingdom, it felt less like a story was being told, and more like a tour of this world. Look at this graph showing how pacing in a movie should be like. Ideally, your film has a gradual buildup of stakes, and rising action taking up 2/3 of the film, and the climax is where the movie peaks. Afterwards, there will be a gradual decline for the epilogue and ending. But here's what the pacing in the Super Mario Bros. Movie is actually like. See how every scene is given the same amount of weight, time, and gravity? When every scene has the same level of importance, now the scenes feel important as a consequence. Okay, so here's how I saw the film. The movie starts with Bowser committing to his big brain plan of stealing the superstar. In this world, Bowser is the de facto incel school shooter archetype, where he believes now that he has essentially a gun, that Princess Peach will have to love him, without realizing that the gun isn't what Peach wants in a man, it's a man with guns in his heart that she's after. At least, I think that's what she wants. We have no idea, because that's never explored. Afterwards, we are shown Mario and Luigi's commercial, where we're told Chris couldn't be bothered to do the Mario accent for the whole movie because that's his commercial voice. We're later introduced to the rest of the Mario family, which aren't storks, but blue-collared humans, and that's the rest of the character arc. Mario and Luigi head to the underground sewers and try to save their city from flooding, which then leads them to accidentally getting sucked into a warp pipe and entering the Mushroom Kingdom. Hey, wait a minute, this plot sounds really familiar for some reason. Oh well, it's probably just my imagination. Mario then meets Toad immediately upon arrival. Toad is instantly drawn to Mario, and that's their entire character arc. Mario is then brought to Princess Peach. Peach is instantly drawn to Mario, and that's their entire character arc. The three of them decide to team up to defeat Bowser, and they tell themselves they need an army, so they go out to recruit the Kong army. This is also where Toad has his final convo with Mario for the entire rest of the movie. Instead of having time to develop these characters or these locations, we're treated to a montage, quickly skipping over all that. Mario is then brought to Donkey Kong so that he could beat his donkey ass senseless. Afterwards, he is instantly drawn to Mario, and that's their entire character arc. However, DK is the tsundere of the group. Yubaka, Peach is captured, then Mario and DK get to Bowser's flying castle without the help of their army. Just before they can beat up mean old Bowser, he tries to George Bush the damn place because he's not getting what he believes he deserved. Realizing that his live-action counterpart destroyed the Twin Towers and he hasn't done shit, he tries to one-up his multiverse self, but Mario goes Ultra Instinct and corrects Bowser's incel-like ways. And that's it. That's the entire plot in a nutshell. I really love the themes that play here, exploring the themes of how to be a real man. Mario going through a meta-existential life crisis as he realizes his life has passed him by, but it's his adventures in the Mushroom Kingdom that bring out his childlike wonder. Mario has gone through the pain of a 9-to-5. He understands the struggles of being a silly, goofy, fun-loving guy. These men, who are filled with a joyous whimsy, have the world crushing them at every moment. What he realizes throughout his adventure is that Princess Peach is letting him hit it afterwards exactly because he's goofy. And then you take Bowser on the opposite end of the spectrum. He's your typical alpha male, being loud, boisterous, destructive, and a classical penis. He exudes childlike behavior with every step, and unlike Mario, who put in the work, put in the hours to know the princess, Bowser just ogles at her from afar and expects her to love him without even knowing him. This all comes to a head at the climax, where they re-enter New York and all the saturation has been drained from the frame. Mario at this point has two options: to let his dad's opinion of him color who he is and accept a humiliating defeat, or show affection, an unmasculine trait, to his brother, and wear that flamboyant rainbow-colored suit, even if it means he'll be judged for it. And then Mario pulls out his classic line, "So long, Bowser!" completely destroying Bowser's ego. Mario knew that he won the Battle of Wills. What a beautiful message to send to young people everywhere. Even though the story for this movie is Paper Mario thin, that's not really an issue for me. Simple does not mean bad. My bigger issue is that with a simpler story, it means you could use that time to flesh out the characters or even the world, but they don't know either. The plot, the characters, and the world all feel like a baby's first draft. However, the biggest sin this movie is guilty of is hiring Chris Pratt to be the voice of Mario, clearly trying to absorb the fans he cultivated when he was in one of the greatest animated films of the 2010s, the Lego Movie. Not realizing he was perfectly cast for that film because he was as charming as a washed-up piece of plankwood, which fits Emmett's character. My source at TMZ has snuck into his recording booth to see how he records his lines. Warning, the imagery is quite disturbing.
It's a me, a Mario.
These Hollywood producers are so desperate to get people to watch their shit that they try to clickbait everyone with these high-profile actors. But little do they know that it has the opposite reaction. Nobody cares what celebrity you pay to be in this film. The average viewer doesn't get excited knowing Chris is voicing Mario, and the target audience of newlyborns have no idea who this man is. So why bother? My guess would be because they can get a higher load bringing on a big name that is attached to the project. Funnily enough, the best voice acting done in this film is for Bowser. You can tell that Jack Black put his whole dick in this role. 90% of the cast is doing the bare minimum, not realizing that in the compound word voice acting, we have the word acting there, meaning just using your voice isn't good enough. I would rather have all Mario's lines spoken in Biribatsu, the official language of Italians as heard in the Mario RPG games. To be honest, almost all the voice cast did such a bad job, I'd rather have the entire movie be subbed and watch it like some weeby anime. The only other thing that was as bad as the voice acting was the song choices. What better way to show Mario is in a brand new world than blast Take On You while go-karting? Okay, but did I like anything about this movie? I think art and animation wise is where this movie destroys it. It's well lit, the saturation on everything is bright and welcoming, and everything in the world feels like it's in constant motion. More than what Illumination usually pumps out, which is a product that looks fine but doesn't linger in your mind for much longer afterwards. The animation relies on a lot of squashing and stretching, so it gives the entire world this bouncing kind of energy to it. Especially the action scenes. There is a clear amount of effort put into them to have them worded so well, easily to follow, yet be impactful. It definitely helps that Nintendo has already had the visual language for the world nailed down, and Illumination just didn't have to fumble the ball. It is great to see, even with the Spider-Verse effect on the animation industry, not every film needs to follow in its footsteps to crush it. This movie has the potential to be more than just okay, it can honestly be even good. And all they have to do is fix the pacing, give the characters some depth, replace the voice cast, and remove all the pop songs. And you can have yourself a great little film here. I know I'm putting myself up to be destroyed by the Mario fanatics on Twitter by saying all this, as anything that goes against the hive mind mentality is relentlessly shat on. I did like this movie at the end of the day. What it lacks in story and in characters, yes, those are important for a film, it makes up for being fun. When those initial reviews came in, thrashing the Mario movie, we were all like, what the fuck? But I kinda get it more now. If you're going into this movie with no exposure to the Mario games beforehand, I can see why you would be hopelessly lost. And even if I disagree with their takes, I can understand them. What I can't understand is the never-ending hopium Twitter warriors put themselves through to justify that this will be a great product. These tweets and posts reveal one thing to me, that no matter how hard I try, I won't ever be the dumbest person in the room, even if I spend hours writing a script coming up with jokes and punchlines. I won't ever be as unhinged as an average Twitter user. Do you know how disheartening that is? To know that it's this easy for these people? At the end of the day, this is the best Mario movie ever made, and arguably the best Illumination movie. Not how I bar it across, I know, but there's a dark and twisted universe where neither of these two statements could be true, and for now, I guess that's good enough.